Good afternoon. This is the weekly weather briefing for North and Central Georgia. My name is Dave Nadler, and I'm a meteorologist here for the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, Atlanta. So here are the main highlights looking ahead through the week. We're not really expecting much in the way of any change in the overall weather pattern, as is typically the case during the summertime months. We really aren't expecting any organized or widespread severe weather over the next few days, and the tropics are relatively quiet, which is good news. And overall, for the temperatures, fairly seasonal for this time of year. Not expecting any, unusual heat or cooler periods over the next 5 to 7 days. Here's latest conditions, just looking at a lower level water vapor imagery. And basically there's a complex of storms that's sort of decaying across Missouri, Arkansas, the lower Mississippi River Valley. For our area closer to home, it's pretty quiet at this time. If you look at some of the brighter yellows and oranges to the south and east coming in off the Atlantic, that's where the deeper low to mid-level moistures resides at the moment. And we do expect this to sort of increase over the next couple of days to the north and west. Really not a whole lot of change to the overall pattern again, other than maybe just slightly more humid overnight into the early morning hours. And this could also key in on locally heavier rain with any afternoon and evening thunderstorms that develop, which we should anticipate seeing each and every day through the weekend and into the early part of next week. So here's the pattern, really just looking at the upper levels. We're sort of sandwiched between two upper level high pressure systems, which really don't move too much this time of year. The one over parts of New Mexico, Colorado, and North Texas sort of meanders from central Texas and then to the west. That's the main area of high pressure, which creates so much heat over the central high plains and southern high plains. And then the subtropical high or the Bermuda high off the mid-Atlantic coast, that's another area of high pressure that doesn't really move a whole lot this time of year. But right now we're sort of in between the two. So there's a little bit of dip in the jet stream. That yellow line is the main storm track, where the more organized areas of low pressure are tracking from west to east across the country. This is why we really don't have any cold fronts to note moving across the area this time of year, because most of the storm systems are well north of the area. But as you can see, there's a little bit of a dip across the Great Lakes and into the Ohio Valley. And really that's set the stage more for the heavier rainfall that we've seen over the last week or so across parts of Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, because this pattern really hasn't changed a whole lot over the last 7 to 10 days. Okay, so looking ahead through the weekend and into the early part of next week, and even through the end of the week next week, again, we're looking at the upper level height patterns, and really that high pressure across the four corners is going to strengthen a little bit. The Bermuda high off the Atlantic coast it kind of falls apart a little bit, or not falls apart, but drops a little bit farther to the south toward the Bahamas and Cuba, Puerto Rico area. But for us, towards the end of the week, we're talking 6, 7, 8 days out from now, we could see some of the models are projecting a deeper area of low pressure or a deeper trough digging across the northeast mid-Atlantic, and that could bring slightly cooler weather to the area by the end of next week. It also drop a more organized front across the area, which could set the stage for more organized shower and thunderstorm activity by the end of next week. But that's a lot can change between now and then, but it is something to watch over the next few days, especially as we head into the early part or middle part of next week. Looking at the radar, again, not a whole lot to talk about over the next couple days. This is just basically like a 24 to 36 hour loop of one of the models. Really hard to pinpoint storm development, exact storm development this time of year, but what we've seen is likely what you're going to get. I know yesterday, Wednesday afternoon, evening, we had some more organized activity across east central and northeast Georgia. Today, it looks like more hit or miss isolated stuff, isolated to widely scattered activity. Expect that to be the same heading into Friday. Again, the main time period, afternoon, into the mid-evening hours is where obviously peak heating sort of interacts with the moisture in place and any boundaries that are left over from the previous day. Again, not expecting any severe thunderstorms, although we could see a couple here and there, with the primary threat being wind. But again, generally speaking, heavy rain, gusty winds up to 30, 40 miles per hour at times, and of course the lightning will be the primary threats with any storm activity today, tomorrow, and then as we head through the weekend. 7-day rainfall, I really don't like showing this time of year because it's really not representative of what the local, doesn't take into account the localized effect of heavier rainfall that we can get from slow-moving storms this time of year. But generally speaking, more of the action is anticipated to be along and north and west of I-85. Again, this could shift, and parts of east central and southeast Georgia could see more, a couple of storms that produce locally 2 to 3 inches of rain. So, but again, generally speaking, this is what we're expecting over the next 6 to 7 days with respect to overall rainfall. High temperatures tomorrow. This is for Friday. Not a whole lot of change from today. Basically lower to mid 90s across much of the area, with the exception of the far north mountains, North Georgia mountains, where temperatures will be a little bit cooler. This does not take into account heat index values, which basically what it feels like. It should be about 5 to 10 degrees higher than what you're seeing on this map once we factor in the humidity during the afternoon and early evening hours. High temperatures on Saturday, maybe a degree or two warmer than Friday, but again, not a whole lot of change. And then on Sunday, could see a little bit, a couple degrees cooler, and that could be due to some increased cloud cover, shower and thunderstorm activity that might be increasing over the area by the end of the weekend into early next week. Latest drought conditions. Good news is that from the early to middle part of July through today, August 4th, as you can see, the conditions have definitely improved across the area. Much of the rainfall has been spotty in nature, but definitely we've had enough across the state to drop those levels of moderate drought down to just D0, abnormally dry in some spots, and that's very localized, as you can see. So that's good news, is that a lot of the rainfall that we have seen across the state over the past few weeks have improved the overall drought conditions across the state. Tropical activity, as I mentioned earlier, it's pretty quiet at the moment, and the National Hurricane Center is not expecting any sort of disturbance or organized activity over the next 5 days. Looking ahead beyond the end of next week into the following week, so this would be looking at the time frame from next Thursday, August 11th, through the following Thursday, August 17th, or following Wednesday. Temperatures, and again, this could be attributed to that trough, that digging across the northeast mid-Atlantic by the end of next week. Looks like we could see relatively near normal probability of seeing temperatures around normal for this time of year, upper 80s, lower 90s for much of the area. There's a pocket of below normal temperatures where the probability of seeing below normal temperatures exists across the Appalachians. So that's something to watch. And then as far as precipitation goes, no real major signal across the area indicating above or below normal precipitation during that time frame. So again, just something to throw out there. Nothing, as I stated earlier, we're not really anticipating any major shifts or changes in the weather over the next 7 to 14 days. And in summary, again, a little change in the overall pattern. No organized or widespread severe weather is expected, which is good news. No tropical storms expected to impact the area over the next 7 days. And temperatures should be fairly seasonal for mid to late summer across north and central Georgia. So with that, thank you for taking the time to listen and watch this briefing for north and central Georgia. And you can see here there are various ways that you can connect with us if you have any specific questions. Otherwise, we hope everybody has a great rest of the day, wonderful week, and weekend ahead.